Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel at P English Literature. Today is another book review and I'm talking about this book, Philosophical Muse and Stuff by Stephen Peter Oldham. I actually made mention of this book in one of my wrap-up in time past, but I've not really taken my time to give it a particular video book review, so I just thought to do it next time. And before I move into Philosophical Muse and Stuff by Peter Oldham, I would also like to show you some books that I've got to read, like impending. Here is The Golden Art Club by Swinder K. Swali. Here is The Afterlife, The Desolation by Pankaj Kumar Sasini. Very interesting book. I love the design, the dimension. I also have here Chasing Fate by Murayode. I've read this one. I'm looking forward to filming it so I can put it out. I love this novel, very interesting novel. I also have 3VE by Justin D. Gray. So here are the 4 basic books I've been on to so far. When I'm done with it, I'm gonna leave some of my opinion about it for you guys to check it out here on this channel. So I would actually not be talking too much about Philosophical Muse and Stuff by Stephen Peter Oldham because the book is actually a collection of poems, meditative musings, and some other things pertaining to it. So before I move into it, the book is actually published by the Austin Macaulay publishers. I've been hearing too much about the publishers, even though I've been trying my best to know more about them. I've heard a lot of books published by these particular publishers. I'm looking forward to know more about the Austin Macaulay publishers. So before I move into my short review, this is actually gonna be like a short recommendation of book review. I would like to read to you about the author that was published alongside the book before the 4th section. So, Stephen was born in Liverpool and grew up in a small village called Rainhill near St. Helens. He attended West Park Grammar School and moved on to graduate from the University of Ashton with a BSc in Managerial and Administrative Studies. This led him into a sales career where he worked successfully for a brewery and several pharmaceutical companies. After completing his MBA at the Manchester Metropolitan University, he successfully moved into pharmaceutical management and later ran and owned a public limited company selling ECG equipment, that's electrocardiogram equipment. So, following an unhappy divorce and descent into depression, alcoholism, and at times drug dependency, natural pathway have led him into becoming a writer, poet, and storyteller. He lives in Cambridge near his three children, where he often performs his work on stage in his unique and ordinary style of real fiction. So that's about the author page of Stephen Peter Oldham, and I think this is his picture, in the front page of the book. That's his picture. So this book is actually very interesting. I think it's a kind of a book that is more particular because the tone of the narrator of the poem is basically something I would call, to my own perception, autobiographical, because some of the poems resonate with the author's direct experiences, and some other things also spoke about the author's children, because I know I read a place that spoke about schizoaffective disorder, that I think the author made mention that one of his child or experienced schizoaffective disorder, and there's a way he put it, because some of the things that was actually mentioned here is based on the fact or the reason or the cause of this particular schizoaffective disorder related to his particular son. That's why I actually tell it is something that's somehow autobiographical. So in the book, it was actually written that some things like maybe probably smoking, drug, etc. could result in some schizoaffective disorder, and some other things pertaining to depression and other kind of adverse outcome that follow it. Some of the poems resonate with a particular company that always give out loan for people in the United Kingdom. I've actually forgotten the name of the company, which was actually funny. When I read through this poem, I was laughing. The book is actually a collection of poems, while some other part also spoke about some short stories. That's how it's actually have it here, that philosophical muse and stuff and nonsense. The title is actually very funny. Then if you can just look at it through here, philosophical moves and stuff and nonsense, very hilarious. So there's some part here that I find very funny. When I was reading through this particular company, I've forgotten the name of the company. I think I wrote a song here that actually gave out loan to people in the United Kingdom. So the way the author wrote it was quite very funny, because they said, you know, he was able to pay back more than the amount he borrowed. And I think that's actually what it's more particular about some people, especially some, you know, financial institutions that do give out people loan. You know, the rate of interest is actually very, very, you know, annoyingly great. And you know, Mr. Peter was actually going to move on from some part to the other. Some of the poems also resonate with some kind of a stage performance poem, where you can, you know, recite it out, you can read it out if you want to read it, you can say it in your mind, or you know, anyhow you want it to be. So some part of the poem also resonate with some biblical theme, like the second coming of I had a poem that talk about the second coming of Jesus Christ. Some poem also resonate with Jehovah's Witness experiences, and you know, generally family world, etc., etc. There's a part that I find very intriguing about it, which is a poem titled Pulmonary. And one of the things I can actually also say about the poem is that it asks poetic, you know, qualities like refrain. And when I was reading through it, I had to consult Google. I had to make some research about some terms that was, you know, stylishly used or used along in the poem, which I actually find very intriguing and very fascinating. Some poems also, you know, spoke about the experience that the author had with fellow other person, like, you know, his family or his friend. And again, there's a part that spoke about I won't call it author, but I think I would have to use the word narrator's experience with online dating application, where he, you know, met a lady online, and you know, from there they began to fall in love with one another, and you know, the outcome, the etc, etc. So the book is just, I would solely recommend it. Some of the poem also resonate with humanity. I was like, wow, that's actually a very sort of interesting stuff, illuminati in the United Kingdom and some other things. So the book is basically a lot of, you know, philosophical moves, a lot of poems, a lot of recitational poems, a lot of stage performance poem, and I admire it a lot. I actually love reading through it, though I wouldn't like to talk about everything. I would like to make it a spoiler review. So if you'd like to get a copy of the book, I left a link in the description part of this video. Peradventure you'd like to get a copy. It's available both in Amazon.uk and Amazon.com, the United States and the United Kingdom. So wherever way you would like to get it, I solely recommend it. If you like something that is about philosophical moves, if you like something that will let you to know, keep thinking over again long after you've read it, then I solely recommend Stephen Peter Oldham, Philosophical Moves and Stuff. So this is actually going to be my review on it. So before I wrap it up, let me read out an inscription, the back page inscription. Stephen Peter Oldham is relatively new to the poetry scene. In his first book, this is first book, he exploits the issue facing modern man through poetry, and that's one of the reasons I actually spoke about in the other section. Then Muse and stories in its original style of real fiction. So Stephen examines issues facing humanity at its time as adverse as the families you need. You can see that drug and alcohol abuse. You can see that mental health, but more specifically to schizoaffective disorder in a kind of an expressional manner, or in a way that is somehow related to someone's experience. Then creation and revelation of prophecy. That's actually why I've said it's somehow revelation and somehow biblical. Some parts spoke about the second coming and some things related to Jehovah's Witness, etc. In this unique book, there are many questions raised which may one day lead to the ultimate question: who are we, and just what is it that we are supposed to be doing here? Take your time and enjoy this rhyme, or read more purposefully perhaps, designed to entertain. Philosophical moves will certainly make you ask questions. So it's actually my short review on this book, Philosophical Moves and Stuff by Stephen Peter Oldham. I left a link in the description box of this video. Peradventure you'd like to get a copy for yourself. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, please, I want to urge you to do so by clicking on the red button over there. Thank you so much for watching my review on Philosophical Moves and Stuff by Stephen Peter Oldham. See you